All right. So this is our second astrological class of 5. And today I want to go through a little bit of the simpler, more basic things. I know some of you are further advanced on this, but I need to just touch on them because the discussion often comes up with people that'll say, well, what about sun sign astrology? There's B, they're here, and Messman. So we'll give them a moment to come in, and everybody will be here. There they are. We just started, so come on. Hi, dear. Good.
How is everything?
Great.
I'm sorry to be late.
No, you're okay. We just started, actually. I just got started. Okay, my friend. Okay. Okay.
Hi there, I'm Elaine.
Okay. Okay, come and lay down. Come in, Plots. Come on. Come here. Sit. Sit. Zeus. Sit, yeah, I don't know. Come here, Zeus. Come here. Come on. Come on. Where were you sitting, honey? In that chair in the corner?
Okay.
No, sit down. That's your Sarah. Sit down. Okay. Messman can sit next to you. Okay, come on, Zeus. Okay. All right, one more time. One more time. This is our second class of 5 2.5-hour sessions, and we're going to cover some simple things to begin with, but there's a reason for that. I want to talk about sun signs, astrology. People talk about, well, you don't believe in astrology based upon sun signs in the newspaper, and I say, no, I don't, actually. The value of sun sign astrology is that it brings people to astrology. That's why I think it's all right. But it's surely not a predictive method that's of any value. What it does is it actually incorporates the midpoint of the sign. So if you're born near the first of the sign, the aspects are not going to be very relevant to your own sun in your chart. If you're born at 15 degrees or halfway into the middle of the sign, then maybe it'll be closer to some meaning to you. But the actual charts are necessary to do a good interpretation. So what I want to say is that the sun signs are not. What you have to know is what we call the alphabet of astrology. It's the planets, the houses, and the signs. And the signs are where the planets are in. And if you've got a sun in Aries, then your sun sign is Aries, of course. And if it's in the first house, that gives another meaning. So you've got 3 different ways to look at a chart. But these houses, planets, and aspects are what we're going to be learning how to interpret. And okay, again, going back to these horoscopes that you see in the newspapers, I find them kind of entertaining, but they surely aren't astrology. Okay. So the planets are the functions, for example, the moon in your chart includes your emotional makeup, and Mars is like your energy. For signs, the signs are how the planets function. So if a planet is in Aries, it's going to be more aggressive, more assertive. If it's in Taurus, maybe a little more stubborn, tenacious, things like that. If it's in Gemini, more intellectual. For example, I was born with my moon in Gemini, so I have an emotional need for knowledge. I have an emotional need to learn. I have emotional need to read. It's just very powerful in my chart. So, and it's also gives often writing ability. So, each of these positions are all relevant to your own chart. Sometimes when you're doing a chart, you're going to find that the chart begins to speak to you. And that's what it does for me. It gives me a message. I get something, and I don't know where it's always from, but it's saying something to me. It's speaking to me. I was telling Elaine before you all arrived, some of you arrived, that I did her chart, and I knew that there had been a recent death of her mother, and I also knew that there had been something involving a great amount of, heartache and problems with it, because and Elaine told me that she died a year ago, and she was 101 years old. Can you believe that? And but she also told me that she was hanging on, and she was lucky.
Beautiful lady.
Yeah, you met her before?
I met her a few times. You couldn't believe that she was 100 years old.
Amazing,
She was walking like a lady. She remembered everything.
amazing at that age. Yeah, so that I saw that, but that came to me, and when I was doing her chart before she got here, I saw that real clear, and it was something about the mother that was speaking to me, and I hate to bring it up sometimes because I think, will I offend somebody if I say something, or will I hurt their feelings if I bring up something like that? But she was fine with it. But the first thing I said to her, I said something about your mother and passing away, and I knew it because the chart was speaking to me. It was talking to me. And that's what will happen when you start doing astrology. You're going to start getting messages. And at first you'll be timid to express them because you're afraid you'll be wrong. You know what I mean? Who wants to be wrong? You don't want to you want to jump out there and say something, but you're going to learn to trust your intuition. Intuition, inner knowledge. The tuition you don't pay for. You know, you don't go to school and pay tuition for it. It's there. And most of us never tap into that intuition. Okay, we don't take the time to really get in tune with ourselves. So anyway, so then we've got not only the houses where they are, their area of your life. If you don't know your time of birth as Mespin, we didn't know his birth time. So I don't know all the areas of his life where those planets are affecting. If it's in the 4th house, a planet, it means it's affecting the home. Okay, that's why I saw the home, and then I saw your moon was afflicted, and I saw this energy. So it all speaks out, it gives a message. And so wherever those planets are, they begin to give some indication of the area of your life that it's going to be affecting. Okay, so.
But in that case, if you don't know the hour, you only know the day.
You still know a lot. I'll tell you why. You know the planets' aspects to one another. You know their relationship to one another. That's called aspects. And the angles of those planets are not going to change in 24 hours very much. The only one that will change in a dramatic amount would be the moon, because it moves 12 degrees a day. So it can move in and out of orb from other planets in that 12 degrees. Okay, so you know, when you're interpreting a chart, we have what's called orb of influence. So if a planet is, you know, within orb, we call it a square or an opposition or a trine or whatever the aspect, sextile, whatever the aspect is, we interpret it. If it's out of orb, then it tends not to have that power of influence. So we need to know, ideally we know the time, it's good, but if we don't, I can still tell a lot about a chart. I can still tell a lot about the person. I can still see do you remember last week, which we'll put up again, but I was showing you how these planets squaring and crucifying each other, the cross of sorrow, okay? That cross that causes us to have action in our chart. A person that has no squares and oppositions generally is not very motivated. I've seen people with 2 grand trines, considered the best aspects. 3 planets making a 120-degree aspect to each other. A perfect grand trine. I've seen people with this aspect. Okay? In other words, let's say their sun's here, maybe Jupiter's over here, and maybe Mars is up here. And you say, oh my gosh, that's really powerful. That's wonderful. Okay? And then I've seen people with this one. Oh, what's that look like to you? Ah. Then we got the moon, let's say, here, and we've got, let's say it's Venus is over here, and let's say Saturn's down here. So we see a double grand trine interlaced. That's the Jewish star, isn't it? So that's where the nation came from. That's how they got their symbol. Israel comes from 3 words. Isis, the moon god, Ra, the sun god, and Elohim, the planets. Israel. Okay? I've printed that, published it, written it, shared it with people in the astrological community, and I always get backlash from the Jewish people because they say, Ron, that's not what Israel means, you know? I say it does. The roots of it is where it came from. Because if you remember, huh?
They were praying to gods.
Exactly. They were not only that, but you know, if you remember the story of Joseph and the whole Old Testament story, it said the sun, the moon, and the stars bowed down in obeisance to him, to Joseph. What does that mean? It means he interpreted them, he understood them. They bowed down in obeisance to him. And when you learn this craft and you study it, guess what will happen? The stars will bow down in obeisance to you. They'll speak to you. They'll give you knowledge. They'll give you understanding. They'll give you wisdom. That's why I study it. That's why I spend my life studying it. I'll do it for till the day I walk off this planet. I'm here for that purpose. That's what I was here for. But as you don't know me, but I spent 9 years in prison. And in those 9 years in prison, I was in a solitudinal place that allowed me to do what I would have only been able to do in a monastery. Okay? The monastery would have given me, if I'd have voluntarily given up my life, and that's the Piscean energies, the Piscean. I have a 12th house, Mercury and Sun in the 12th house. It's the 12th house of Pisces. It can be institutions, it can be hospitals, it can be prisons, it can be a monastery that you go away, seclude yourself for what? From the world, to gain knowledge or whatever you're going to do, spiritual growth. Mine was a different way. I had to go that path to get there. Those 9 solitudinal years. So thank God for that. I mean, people have said, Ron, you went to prison for us. You brought all this knowledge out. I say, I feel that way. I feel like I've got a lot to share. So here we are. We're embarking on a journey. It's not a 5-week journey. It's a life journey. I want to build that flame in you that you go on and on and on with this and study and research till you're 101 years old, you know, where you can have your mind is still fresh and crisp with enthusiasm for this. Do you know what the word enthusiasm means? Anybody in this room know it? It comes from entheos. Guess what theos is? God. So enthusiasm means God within. You know, I used to hire, I was vice president of a company, I used to hire and fire. I didn't fire many people because it wasn't my nature to do that, but I used to hire a lot of people. And I could take a person that had a lot of knowledge and put them up against the person that came to me with a lot of enthusiasm. Guess who I'd hire? Yeah. Knowledge is proud, it knows so much. Wisdom is humble, it knows so little. So we need to have enthusiasm to accomplish things in life. If I give you nothing from me other than my enthusiasm, if I can combine that with knowledge, I'm powerful. Right? That's where the power is having enthusiasm for what you're doing. If you're not living your life enthusiastically, there's something missing. If I'm not doing this, there's something missing. I feel empty. You know? So we need to have that fire. Of course, I'm all fire signs, so it's easy. There she is. That's all right. Say hi to Zeus and have a seat. We saved a seat for you. So we're talking about enthusiasm, my dear. And I'm saying I want to build a fire of enthusiasm in everyone in this room for astrology. And it's not a 3-week or a 5-week course. It's a life study. It's not about you're going to take five classes and now you're going to know it all. Believe me, I've been doing it for how many years? You know, since the 60s, 70s, I don't know, early 70s. And I have, you know, I'm still a student. But that's what keeps me inspired because I love things that challenge me all the time. I love to constantly be learning. That's why I love photography. I'm a photographer. Why do I love it? Because I'm never a master of it. Just about when I think I've learned it all, I meet somebody that really teaches me to be humble. Wow, Ron, you thought you were a photographer. Look at this guy's work. Huh? Okay. But I will say this, I've been around astrologers for a lot of years and haven't seen too many good ones. Forgive me for that. But I mean, that sounds judgmental, but I just have to say it because it's true. And one other thing will happen is when you're around astrologers, as you gain knowledge and wisdom, you're going to find out very quickly how much other people know and how much they don't know. And it's a funny thing because it's kind of like a secret language. Once you learn the symbols, it's kind of like it's a private little craft. And the people that really don't know it, you'll know very quickly when you're conversing with them. And you know if they're really grounded in any knowledge at all. It's like somebody speaks French. Somebody else claims to speak French, and you find out very quickly they do or don't. Same with astrology, okay? All right, so we're off on this journey. So again, we started out by, you didn't miss a whole lot. I was telling people that sun signs is not astrology, but it's okay because it brings people into it. It makes people look at it more. It kind of grabs curiosity and makes them maybe journey into it a little further in their life, find out what it's about. So I'm not critical of sun signs, but don't read them, expect to get any daily horoscope that's going to be valuable to you. Okay. So this is important. We talked about this last week. We'll go over it one time again. Planets, the function. The moon indicates your emotions. Mars is your energy. Okay. Saturn is your view of the past. It's kind of you're living in the past. Saturn. Okay. Jupiter in your chart is the future. It's your optimism. The ancient name for Jupiter was Optimum Maximus. Optimum Maximus. Optimus Maximus. And that is really what Jupiter's about. It's your sense of optimism. Okay? If you have Saturn and Jupiter in your chart, you have Saturn joined with Jupiter in your chart. You've dealt with issues in your own emotional makeup that have been strong. Do you allow me to talk to you about you in your past? Okay, you have Jupiter, Saturn joined in your chart. So that means you've dealt a lot with faith and doubt. Faith and doubt. There's struggles been in all your life, because that's what Jupiter is. Jupiter's faith in the future. Saturn is living in the past, and you've had to learn to let go of the past. And one of the things Jupiter does when it's joined with Saturn, it's saying, look, at Jupiter's the teacher, it's the master, it's Jesus, it's Jesus, Jupiter. And so Jupiter is the light. Saturn's the darkness. People who have them together are always fighting those two. They got a battle they go through in their life with it, okay? So you've had to learn to forgive because you've been let go of the past. You got to learn that. That's something you've learned. But Jupiter with Saturn means you've learned the messages of Saturn very well. You've had to in your life, okay? And you've had to get above the accusation and guilt and all those things. You see what I'm saying? That's what Saturn is. Saturn is the accusing spirit. Satan, the devil, scriptures. That's where it came from, you see. And Jupiter is Jesus. So you got light and darkness together in your chart. I'm talking about her chart a lot today. So we were talking about her earlier before you came. So anyway, so what are we talking about? We're talking about the planets. We're talking about the signs. We're talking about how the planets function. Any planet in the sign of Aries, for instance, will tend to be extra active. If it's in Pisces, on the other hand, it will tend to function more through the imagination. I have Mars in Pisces, okay? Mars is very sexual, it's very aggressive, it's Mars, it's all that stuff. You know, I got a great imagination. So what's that? What's that Mars do? Because Pisces rules dreams, visions. It's the nebulous part of things. It's movies. Movies are shadows on a wall. Think about that a minute. This is a shadow on a wall. Okay? Movies are shadows on walls. They're not real. But, you know, we can easily get caught in that as if it's real. Especially children and young people. They look at those things and they say, my God, you know, they do things because they're motivated by it. Sometimes for bad or good, you know. But anyway, and Pisces rules a part of the body, just like Aries rules the head. Taurus rules the throat. Gemini rules the arms and the hands and the lungs. Okay? If I see somebody has Mars in Gemini, I say, don't you ever smoke, or if you do, quit. Because Mars will mar or damage the lungs very seriously. They will do it anyway, but if you have that Mars in that sign. I was born with Mars in Pisces. Pisces rules the feet. All my life I was a runner. I was a track guy. I mean, I was fast. I was good. But as I got older, my body has weakened, I've had problems with my feet. And I caused the problems myself by trying to lift and carry something up a spiral staircase. When we moved in Laguna Niguel, California, we moved. And I'm at the bottom of picking up one of those old cases in there. And every step was anguish. And I ripped out my foot, ripped out the Achilles, not the Achilles, the plantar fasciitis, what it's called. So anyway, so I had to have surgery. Mars is surgery. Who would have ever thought? Me have surgery on my feet? I was the swiftest runner. I was always good on my feet, fast, used to box, you know. I mean, I was always good. I always thought I'd never have problems like that. That's the way astrology sometimes does, you know. You say, well, I'm invulnerable. I'm never going to have these problems. But if you have those weakness potentials in your chart, you should be aware of them. If I'd have been smart, I'd listen to my wife said, hire people to do that run. Don't try to lift those and carry those. But I'm a tough guy. I'm going to carry them. I can do it, right? My ego got in the way. So what I'm saying to you is that all these energies, we're talking about how they affect you, how the planets function. If I see Mars on the ascendant, rising in the east, you know, my daughter's 36 years old, never married, beautiful girl, Larissa. She lives in California, and she was Miss Orange County when she was young. She's a gorgeous girl. My daughter has learned to call me when she's got a relationship going. And she always calls me, Dad, here's his chart. Tell me about him. Because every time I've told her it's been true, and unfortunately not always been happily true. And so the last guy that she's now dating is named James. And she sends me over, calls me up and says, here's his information. So I call her back and I said, he should have an injury on his head and he's got arthritis of some kind. There's something wrong with his arthritis. He's got arthritis. He's got something wrong. And he shouldn't drink because he can be kind of, he start arguments real easy if he's drinking. So these are the weaknesses I see in the chart. So the next night he comes over and wow. Larissa's laying on the couch or sitting on the couch with him. He's got his head in her lap and they're sitting there watching TV. And she's running her hands through his hair looking for the scar. Because I said he's got a scar on his head. But she can't feel it. So she says to him finally, she says, James, do you have a scar on your head? He said, why do you ask me that? He said, yeah. He said, I was in a car accident and I almost had my scalp ripped off. He said, I got a scar from my ear all the way up to here and it's been sewed up. And she says, do you have arthritis? Now this is a tennis player, owns a yacht. He's, one of these guys, very active sports kind of guy. He said, yeah, I used to be almost pro tennis player, but he said, my arthritis in my hands stopped me. She freaked out, my daughter. She's, Dad, I can't believe you. So, what is it? It's like magic. How do you know those things? You know it because you see the chart. You see the chart. So if you see Mars in the first house, Aries rules the head. So if Mars is Mars, it cuts or wounds or scalds or burns. That's what Mars does. If it's in Cancer, Cancer rules your stomach. If Mars is in Cancer, there's a likelihood, a possibility the person will have had, in a woman's chart, maybe breast, because Cancer rules the breast and the stomach, okay, that they've had surgery or problems in that arena. And maybe Mars in Cancer will be ulcers, which is high acidic. Mars burns. That's what Mars does, right? So you see, you start looking at these charts and you say, wow, where's all this come from, right? How can it be so accurate? People say, nothing to astrology. I say, because you haven't ever looked at it. You've never really seen how accurate it is. It's amazing. Okay? And, the more you study, the more you're going to learn it. So a lot of things. So here we're back to this. Okay? Okay, it shows where your life and plan is the most. Any planet in your second house, for example, will affect your money and possessions. Any planet in your fifth house will affect your love and romance. Well, people say, I have no planet in my fifth house, so I'm not going to have any love or romance. I say, no, it doesn't work that way. Because there's a ruler of that house. So what sign's on the cusp of that house? Maybe you got Leo on that cusp. It rules romance and love anyway, Leo. And now you've looked for the planet that rules that sign. It's the sun. Sun rules Leo. So we go look at it in the chart and see what we can tell more about our love affairs or our romance or those things that are going to affect that part of our life. The fifth house rules recreation, entertainment. It's more like fun. It's a fun house. Likes to play. Leo likes to be playful. Okay? So, see our little Leo here running around having a good time. So, what do we have? We're dealing with planets, signs, and houses. I'm going to teach you how to kind of see all that and understand it and interpret it. And again, be patient and loving with yourself. Don't think, as I said, in 5 weeks, you're going to be a master astrologer. You're not, but you're going to learn the basics. And you'll have enough, believe me, you'll get it in a way that nobody can take this from you, because what I'm giving you is really the fundamentals, and it's really the roots of it. And if you get that well, you'll do the rest well. You'll start growing with this. All right? So aspects. There are angles between the planets. Okay? And what are the angles? It's interesting. The angles are angels. Angelic influences. Okay? Think about it. The Psalm says this, listen to the scriptures. It says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. The original translation was not the heavens declare the glory of God. It was the planets declare the glory of God, and the heavens, or the heavens showeth his handiwork. And night unto night showeth knowledge, and day unto day uttereth speech. Is that amazing? Utter speech. Their line goeth out throughout all the earth. Aspects are line. Okay? And moreover, in keeping them is their great reward. This is the Psalms. Keeping what? What are they talking about? In keeping them. Keeping their positions. Okay? We call it an ephemeris today. You can look it up, see where a planet is anytime. Okay? So keeping them is their great reward. And listen what it says after that. And moreover, by them is thy servant warned. Ah. That's why it's good to keep them and know where they're at, because there's a warning there. If you need to have it, it's telling you a message. The angelic energies are coming down, and they're expressing themselves. It might be Saturn's energy, okay? Might be the tester, Satan, the devil, the serpent, okay? He's there to test, give a message. He's trying to teach you something. Okay, Saturn or Satan was the fallen angel. If you study the story of Job, if you remember, Satan came into the council of the angels. He's a fallen angel. What does fallen mean? He fell from the high estate. But listen to what it is. It says, and Satan came into the council of the angels. And the Lord said, where are you coming from, Satan? He says, oh, from to and fro about the earth. That's his domain. He said, did you see my righteous man Job down there? Satan says, yeah, I did. But let me work on him a little bit and test him. And I'll guarantee you, he'll curse you to your face. Now, what does Satan want him to do? Curse. That's a bad mistake. But he does all the things he can to Job. He wipes out his family, his crops, his cattle. He's a rich man. He loses it in 2 weeks. It's gone, everything. The Sabians come in and destroy, and they destroy everything. Rape, kill, do everything. And after all this, Job sinned not, it said. And anything he said, notice what it says, and nothing he said. But the Lord, he says, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of God. Wow. Can you imagine doing that? When all things falling around about you, everything you know, everything you have, you're a rich person, your home, everything you value is gone, your family's wiped out, and you're going to say, praise the Lord, right? That was the test. So the next test is Satan comes back into the council of the angels and said, yeah, he's a righteous man. Skin, bone, and flesh is something else. Let me work on him a little bit, and he will curse you to your face. So we're going to make this one real personal. So he breaks out with all manners of skin diseases, problems, and his wife even turns against him. Says, you know, Job, you're supposed to be a righteous man. Don't want anything to do with you. The stench of your body, I wouldn't want to be near it. So what happens? Job sinned not in anything he said. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of God. Job cursed the day he was born, but he never cursed God. Okay? So is this an angel? Unfortunately, he's the testing one. And so people in astrology are always, oh my God, I got Saturn doing this on my chart. Saturn's moving over my ascendant. Saturn's going to do this and that, and they walk around in fear. But there's something you need to understand about this. Saturn has no power unless you are operating in a way that you can be subject to the energies of Saturn. And how do you know whether you're doing that or not?
So that means that if you don't have Saturn, you have no defiance. There's no challenge.
Yeah, Saturn is a tester.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are many things challenging us in life.
Yeah.
But without Saturn, we just
There'd be no definition, because how do you define good without
Exactly.
darkness and black? You know, that whole thing is all in there, okay? For example, I'll give you an example. You see, you say, well, why would a righteous God, this is what people say, you know, how would a righteous God allow these things to happen to a righteous man? I mean, that's not fair. I don't want to serve and worship a God like this, right? I mean, you know, that's what we would think. But listen to what it is. You see, do you remember I told you all of you got faith? Everybody's got faith. You have faith. As people say, I don't believe in this. I'd say you all got faith. Everybody does. Everybody, you got faith in something. It might be faith in bad, faith in things are going to be rough, things are going to be bad, faith in I'm not going to be, you know, wealthy, I'm not going to be happy, I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to stay married, I'm not going to find a mate. That's all faith. As you believe it, so it is. That's what you're creating. You've created this, okay? So you say, well, why could Job become a victim to all this? See, we're talking astrology, believe it or not. We're talking about Saturn in your chart. But the reason this happened to Job is one scripture. Job said, as these things befell him, he said something that gave away his Achilles heel. I use that all the time, and I'm having trouble with my Achilles heel. So, huh? Achilles tendon, yeah. Anyway, so what did Job say? Job said this, what I feared most came upon me. Ah, there's the key. What I feared most came upon me. See, if you're walking in fear, you're walking in a faith, in something other than good. And if you're walking in faith in something other than good, you're going to create it. By your faith it is accorded unto you. That's what the good book says. Huh? So you can have faith in good, in God. You can have God is good. So why not have faith in good? Oh, but that's optimism. That's not realistic. That's not. I say it is. You know, seeing is believing. I say believing is seeing. Listen to what I just said. Huh? Believing is seeing. Change your thoughts. Change your belief system. Then life will change for you. Am I making sense? Too much preaching up here?
But no matter what is your belief, Saturn is winning for you.
He is.
There will be a challenge. You can change your
But listen to me. Listen to Saturn. Listen to Saturn. Saturn is Santa Claus. I told you that last week. He's Santa Claus. That's where Santa Claus came from. Did you know that? Yeah. Look at the word. Watch this. Satin. I did that wrong? A-N. Satan, right? Move the letters around and you've got this. Gosh, let me get a pen. It works. Okay? Let's see if this one works. You move the pen. you do it this way. N-T-A. All you've done is change the letters around. Surprise, huh? Ah. See, Saturn was Santa Claus personified. He was the giver of gifts to those that were deserving. Now, this one I'm going to show you this. He didn't always bring bad. He brought good things to those that were good. What did he tell the children? If you're naughty, you're going to get rocks in your stocking. What does Saturn rule? Rocks, crystals, minerals, the skeletal frame, teeth, bones. It rules all those things. So that's how he's going to message you something. He says, look, I'll bring rocks to you instead of good gifts because you've been naughty children. But if you've been good, I'll bring you gifts. Saturn isn't always bad. Saturn is fair. He's a stern father. And he says, if you're naughty or nice, I'll reward you accordingly. And that's how Saturn works in your chart. It's not always bad. It's not always bad. I did Mespin's chart here a week ago. He's got Jupiter right on top of Saturn. Wow, Jupiter. Jesus, right on top, right now. on top of his Saturn in his chart. Okay? Or Saturn on top of Jupiter. I think got it backwards. So thank you. Had it backwards. So transit Saturn is sitting right on top of Jupiter. And that's positive. That's expansion. That's good. That's fortune. That means things are going to be good. But he's got to be doing what? Got to have faith in good. Oh, he can fall back and you start doubting, fearful, all the negative stuff, and guess what will happen? Nothing will come. Because Saturn is going to reward him if he's worthy. And he's got good rewards in store for him right now, or he wouldn't be there. He's trying to say, look, I want to give you bounty. I want to give you hope. I want to give you faith. I want to give you a future. That's why I'm here. I'm on top of you right now. I want you to get that message, Jupiter. Okay? So wake up, Jupiter. Come back alive. Stop doubting. Stop being fearful. Stop being negative. Stop living in the past. Stop letting other people bring you down. Don't let your ex bring you down. Don't let anybody bring you down. You walk faith and forward. See where we're at? Okay. So if you don't want your chart talked about in this class, don't give it to me. Because I'll talk about it. Unless you tell me, Ron, please don't. I won't. I'll be respectful of that. Okay. So Saturn is Santa Claus, okay? And that's really not, there's so much more to Saturn. Read my book. I want you to read. I hope you'll all read my book. It's a revelation, a profound one. It really is. I don't mean it egotistically, but it's maybe the greatest story never told. It really is that. Two of the top scholars in the world say it is. Okay? I'm not a scholar, but yet the knowledge is there. The wisdom is in that book. It'll change your life. You read it from cover to cover and begin applying what it teaches. Okay? Because Saturn wants to get you to do what? Curse, accuse. Remember what we said to God? Let me work on him. He'll curse you to your face. And if you're going to accuse and curse and find fault, you know, Satan is called in the Bible the accuser of our brethren. He who accused our brethren before God both day and night. That's who he is. He's trying to test you to see if you'll do it. So when things happen that seem to be other than good, what do? Son of a big goddamn, you know, all this crap, you know, comes out. What about praise? Thanksgiving, the opposite of cursing. The whole story of the Bible is about praise. Praising God. No matter what happens. You know? Read the Essenes, the stories of the Essenes. They've unearthed their writings, their amazing stories, and how they praise God in all things, in trials, and whatever there was, they praise God always. That's what you're asked to do. Get the curse off your lips. Get the curse out of your mind. Stop accusing yourself. Guilt is accusing. It's the same spirit, but it's self-directed. If you're walking in guilt, you're living under Satan, under the accusing spirit. And if you're guilty, what are you going to do? Guess what? You're going to find other people to accuse. The more guilty you are, the more accusatory you are. I guarantee you that. If somebody's really got an accusing nature, it's because they hate themselves. There's a scripture says, a man who loves his wife loves what? Himself. Oh my gosh, really? You know, I notice that in my own nature, in my own relationship with my wife. If I'm out of sorts with me, you know, I have a hard time being loving. And I want to withdraw. I want to get out and crawl in a cave somewhere. Just kind of, that's just the way we are as a human being, you know? Okay, so let's not get too personal. Anyway, so all this making sense? Let's see. Okay, we did this, aspects, what's the difference between sign and a house?